right, so on this review, what I'm going to do is each section, I'm going to tell you what lesson it came from, and I'm going to work down the odds. So let's start with the first section where we're looking at the graphs. And all that I want you to do on this one, it comes from lesson 5.1. All that I want you to do is label A, B, C, D on these. So the first part, A, is the vertex. So I've got arrows pointing to the different points. Which one is, let's just call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one would you say is the vertex? 3. Down here, this third one. This is the vertex. So I'm just going to put an A there because A, vertex. Or you can write the whole word vertex if you want. B, axis of symmetry. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Yep. It's 5. It's this last one. The axis of symmetry is this vertical line. It's an imaginary line, but it's the middle line. It's the line that where it would be symmetric. X-intercepts. There are 2 X-intercepts. Yep, these 2 points right here are your X-intercepts because your X-axis is this line. There's so many lines, it is kind of hard to see, but that's your X-axis. This is your Y-axis. So your X-intercepts are where the points that are on the X-axis. And so that leaves this one to be your Y-intercept. It's the point on the Y-axis. Sometimes you might have a point, if it's on the origin, it could be both an X and a Y-intercept, only if it's on the origin. Okay. So moving on to number 3. These first 4 problems are in vertex form. So these first 4 come from lesson 5.2. We're identifying the vertex and the axis of symmetry. These are the ones where it's really easy to find your vertex. You do the opposite of what's in the parentheses. So -2. And then this last number on the outside, 3. You do not do the opposite of that number. The number in the front tells us if it's pointing up or if it's pointing down. Would this one be pointing up or down? Down because it's negative. Good. So it looks like this. So is the vertex, is it a maximum or is it a minimum point? It's a maximum. Go. The axis of symmetry is, you have to put X equals, and it's the X value of the vertex, which is -2. So what's the vertex on number 5? Nope. 4, -4. The number on the inside, you do the opposite. Did you look at this number too, maybe? Yeah. So this number, you do the opposite of this one, +4, and that one's -4. Does this parabola open up or down? Up, because the very front number is positive. So is the maximum, is the vertex a maximum or a minimum? Minimum. What is the axis of symmetry? X equals 4. It's the X value of your vertex. So far, not so bad. Now let's move on to question number 7. Notice how these are written a little bit different. You don't have the parentheses with the squared outside. These are not in vertex form. These are in standard form, which is lesson 5.3. This was one that was an NTI assignment. So on these, this is where we do the negative b over 2a to get the x value of the vertex, and then you plug that back in to get the y value of the vertex. So what is my b value? 2. And then 2 times, what's my a? 1. So there's your B. Your A is the number in front. Now your A, B, and C are just the numbers. Don't put an X or an X squared with them. And what do we get? Negative 1. That's only the X value of the vertex. You have to plug that back in to get the Y value. I would definitely use the store button. Just like this. And you should get negative 3. What a lot of you are going to do is this. What did I do wrong? I didn't put parentheses around the first negative 1. And that got me a negative 4, which is not right. That's why I just use a store button, and you don't have to worry about parentheses. So the vertex is negative 1, negative 3. So what is my axis of symmetry? X equals negative 1. Something else is this number, my C value, tells me the y-intercept. You may be asked for that. Now, something you could do if you completely don't know how to do this, even though you should have it in your notes, you could just type this in on the graph. Okay, and look. Now, the problem with that, sometimes your vertex may not be visible right on your graph. It may be like a really big number. Sometimes I do that on purpose so that you have to use the formula. Sometimes doing it that way, you won't see a y-intercept. Or if I say you must show your work, if you don't show this, you'll get points taken off. So you still need to have this, but as a last resort, you could try just graphing it and at least get some points.
So just got everything we went over, you get a 5 in it?
Pretty much. Not every single thing, but things that are going to be on the test. We couldn't possibly put every single thing in the unit on the test. It'd be a 5-day test probably, but. So, I just picked out some stuff. Huh? You don't need another one. All right, number 9. Negative b over 2a. What's my b? So I have a negative on the outside, and my b is also negative. So we have 2 negatives. What's my a? Yep. So type this in on your calculator. How do you get a fraction on your calculator? Alpha y equals. And what do we get? We just so happen to get negative 1 again.
My pencil exploded. I fixed it.
Okay, that's good. And then we plug in that negative 1. my last x that I stored was -1, so I don't have to type that in again. I just type in -2x squared minus 4x plus 2, and we get 4. So the vertex is -1, 4. What's the axis of symmetry?
-1.
X equals -1. What's my y-intercept? 2. Or we could write it as the point 0, 2. Either one. All right. This next section comes from lesson 5.5. Solve by factoring. Yeah, I didn't really have any. There's not any really specific questions on the test straight from 5.4. So 11 and 13, they are already factored. If they're already in parentheses, it skips that whole process of factoring that you had to do. So all we do once they're factored, do you all remember what we do? When you have a factor, set them equal to 0. And I'm just going to put x. You can put n, whatever. I like using x. 5x plus 1 equals 0. So how do I solve this? Subtract 1 from both sides. And then we divide by 5. So x equals -1/5. My other one, x plus 4 equals 0. How would I solve this one? -4. So x equals, what's 0 minus 4? -4. So what this means is that I have x-intercepts at -1/5 and at -4. All right, number 13. Goodness, these are like almost identical. What about that? All right, 5x minus 1, not 100% identical. The only difference is that this first one is a minus instead of a plus. Equals 0. Add 1 to both sides. And then if I divide by 5, just leave it as a fraction. X equals 1/5. Well, if you type it in the calculator, yeah, you're going to get a decimal, but just leave it as 1/5.
And then next was 5.6.
Oh, wait, we didn't finish this one. Look, I didn't do both factors. X plus 4 equals 0. Subtract 4. Can somebody open the door? Thank you. And we get x equals -4. You could get a review packet out of the thing. All right, let's turn over to question 15.
Why are we doing the right side.
You're going to do those on your own?
Yeah, Goosey.
Oh, that's the same thing as what we said earlier.
Pretty much, yeah. Just different examples. So these are not already factored. So wind your brain back. When we did factoring, we looked for two numbers. Y'all remember? Two numbers that multiply to be
10 and
24
to be 10.
and add to be 10. So you come up with those numbers. Numbers that multiply to be 24 and add to be 10. And yes, they are 6 and 4. Now, here's what you do if you can't figure those out. Make your T-chart. We did this. All the ways to multiply to be 24. 1 and 24. 2 and 12. 3 and 8. 4 and 6. And then see how you can add to get 10. And he did say, yep, they are 4 and 6. So we have x plus 4, or n, whatever, x plus 6. And now we can set each of those factors equal to 0. X minus 4 equals 0.
Don't forget to do the other one.
Yeah, I won't forget to do the other one. Add 4 to both sides. X equals 4. And then x plus 6. Oh, wait. What did I do wrong?
Yes, I was looking at that, but I was like...
What did I do wrong?
You put that as a negative.
I put that as a minus. So...
Where's your white out?
My white out.
Check in your
Who
head.
stole my white out?
Sorry. I stole it.
Probably did. Oh, it's right here. So this should have been a minus 4. Y'all gotta speak up when I do stuff like this. Negative 4. So x equals negative 4. And then x plus 6 equals 0.
Wait, make sure you didn't do that one wrong.
That's why I was like, I thought they were both positive when I was writing it down. Minus 6, minus 6. And what is 0 minus 6? Negative 6. So this one has x-intercepts at negative 4 and negative 6.
So now you gotta get numbers to add to 3.
Negative 3.
Oh,
Yep.
what?
Okay. Or multiply to be negative 3. All right, so number 17, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 3, which means we have one positive and one negative. And those same numbers add to be 2. So see if you can come up with those numbers. Don't say them out loud. Give everybody else a chance to figure them out. Sometimes you have to guess and check in your calculator. All right, what are your two numbers?
1 and negative 3.
No.
Negative 1 and 3.
Negative 1 and positive 3.
Right. I just
Almost right.
negative
But if you switch those on the test, it'll get wrong. So, and double check, negative 1 times 3 in your calculator is negative 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So x minus 1, x plus 3. We set each one equal to 0. Get x equals 1. That's really not that many questions. 27. All right, next section. Oh no. I don't have a couple questions that I should have on there. Ooh. So from 5.6. So we are, after this, we are going to play Jeopardy too. And so we'll make sure we get some of those examples. Not today. So this one actually skips up to 5.8. That was my mistake. Because I think there is like a simplifying square roots question on the test. Yeah. But on the Jeopardy game, they are all in there. So this quadratic formula is 5.8. And I might as well go ahead and write the formula on here for you. Ooh, so go ahead and copy down that formula.
What the heck? What does this mean?
Just hit OK.
What's his name?
All right, number 19. We need to identify the A, B, and C. What's the A?
6.
What's the B?
4.
And C?
Negative 112.
Negative 112. And now just fill those 3 numbers into your formula. Do it anyway. You can leave it as a fraction. I almost think that they're decimals on the test. It's multiple choice.
Why did I get negative 130 plus a decimal? Like, I don't know.
Does it do you see, oh, does it say I?
Yeah.
Which one was like that? This one?
Yeah. 19. That's
On top of my calculator, it says normal flow auto, and then it says A plus BI.
Yeah, that means that it'll, yeah, that's fine.
How do I fix that?
You don't, leave it like that. That, if it says A plus BI, we did that for the ACT. Instead of giving you an error when you have an imaginary number, it'll actually say I on there.
As the plus and the minus on this one, it did plus and minus.
Hold on.
Because I got a positive number for the plus.
You should not have gotten I on this one. So go back and look at your stuff.
For a fraction, negative
Yeah.
14/3.
You can leave it as a fraction or a decimal. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. So negative 4 plus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times A times C, and then 2 times A. So you get 4. So it has one x-intercept at 4. And then if I go up and change this to the minus, we get negative 14/3. Now, if on the test it's multiple choice and you see decimals, just type in negative 14 divided by 3 and go down, yeah. Yeah, so either way. There's a few ways to get it to a decimal. Personally, I feel like this is the easiest, but whatever. All right, number 21. What is A? negative 1. B
Negative 10.
and C, 5.
Wait, so if there's two negatives, you still put them in there?
Put the negative outside and then your negative inside. So it's negative, and then in parentheses is your B, which is also negative.
Miss Johnson, I literally put it in there and it's still different.
Did you put the plus or the minus?
Yeah.
Did you put the negative 10 in parentheses? Did you put a minus or a negative there?
Negative 5,
Let me
negative
see, Travis.
point something with an I.
Yeah, you shouldn't have got that. This should be a minus 4, not a negative 4. That could be your problem.
I got negative 10. And then
Oh, you're forgetting to put
Yep.
in minus 4.
Yep, so what that does is it does this negative 10 squared times negative 4 instead of minus 4. So we should get negative 10.48.
and then put 2.
I just put 5.
That's fine, unless it says specifically to round to 2 decimal places or something. And 0.48.
They'll make that bad to you if you didn't try actually working it out.
All right. This next one, the discriminant. This was 5.9. Whoa. 5.9. And we use the formula, just the part of the quadratic formula that's under the square root. So you don't actually hit the square root symbol. So it's just the b squared minus 4ac. And these are the ones where we say if we have 2 rational, 2 irrational, that kind of thing. There was a chart in lesson 5.9. All right, so what is my A, B, and C? 1. So B squared minus 4. My A is negative 4, and my C is 1. So B squared minus 4AC. And we get 52. So the discriminant is 52. If the question says, what is the discriminant, you answer the number. Now, looking at the chart, the discriminant is a positive number. It's greater than 0. But is it a perfect square? No, 52 is not a perfect square. If you're not sure, take the square root of 52 and see if you get a whole number. And you don't. So it's not a perfect square. So that means, so it's greater than 0, not a perfect square. We have 2 irrational x-intercepts. So 2 irrational.
So it's irrational if it's above 0 and can't fit into a perfect square?
Yeah. Yeah. Number 25. What is A?
-8.
What is B?
2.
And C, 3. So 2 squared minus 4 times -8 times 3. And we get 100.
Like I did have a square root of 10.
Yep. So it's a positive number. And is 100 a perfect square?
Yeah.
Yes. So it has 2 rational solutions. Now, this last question, I only have one question, like this very last thing that we've just been practicing. So I'm not going to work these out, but we are going to go through the parts and list out how you would solve each of them. And you're going to do this whole question on your own. So, the height at 2 seconds. How would we solve this one? Plug in 2. 4t. This one actually gives you the equation. Part B, the time it takes to reach the maximum height. What would I use to solve this one? The negative, yeah, it's right there on the board. Negative b over 2a. Now, if it asks for the actual height, how do we solve this one in? We plug in the answer we just got. So, plug in part B. I'm just going to put part B. Plug in part B. So, whatever number you get there. And D, the time it takes to reach the ground. Quadratic formula. So you've got about 10 minutes to work on the evens and this last question. I am going to take this up for points. You will not get points if you only turn in the odds because those are the ones I did for you. I'm actually only going to be checking the even side. So you're going to work now and on Monday. On Tuesday, we will play Jeopardy. On Tuesday, we'll play Jeopardy. And then Wednesday, probably what I'll do, I may split the test up into 2 parts so you don't have to feel rushed. So Wednesday, we'll probably do the first part of the test and then Thursday, the second part.